Welcome to the shop, a moto podcast with your host, Jake Lowry and Grayson Crum.
What's up, Grayson?
What's up?
Another episode of the shop.
We're back.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
No, last week. We did one last week.
Was that last week?
Yeah,
a week and a half?
Talked about back 40.
Was that last week?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I don't think so.
I'm going to look because I think you're lying.
You look it up. We're back with a guest. We got Mr. J&B, Jon Murray Barr, calling in. And no,
it's J&B, but you were right 5 days ago.
Can we call him the Cajun Jon Murray Barr?
He's not Cajun. He's from the Delta.
Can we call him the country J&B?
Yeah, country J&B.
Yeah,
sure.
like
with a K. K-O-U-N.
Yeah, because he's just like Jon Murray Barr, except not French.
Yeah, and so for the Mississippi listeners, the people that would know, it's Jon Murray Barr.
Yes, long time.
He's in the top 5 of Mississippi.
Oh yeah, of all time.
Yeah, he's in the.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, I mean, of the modern era.
Yeah.
Like some of these guys in the 70s and the one or two in the early 80s. That was like kind of.
Yeah, all time. I think he's well known around the South Mississippi, that area. So I think we're gonna hear from him, see what he's driving an old tractor right now. So
yep. All right, get him on.
We're gonna get him on. We're gonna get him on.
I wish we had like a cool intro, like
take me on the ride on my big green tractor. It's probably a John Deere. You think?
A John Deere?
We should ask him.
I don't know.
He's probably driving a John Deere.
Hello.
What's up, John?
Oh, nothing much. How y'all doing?
Man, we're sitting here. We're what kind of machine are you driving right now?
I'm on a combine, Case IH 8250, harvesting soybeans.
Okay.
You were wrong.
I was wrong. I was my guess was a John Deere. Okay.
Now.
Oh, so he rides orange.
No.
What's up, Jon Murray?
Oh, nothing much, Jake. How you been, man?
I'm good. I'm good, bud. So we were just kind of introducing on the podcast, like, having you on, and I told Grayson it'd be cool to have like some kind of interview of like, like an intro of like some kind of accomplishment you did, but I can't think of anything other than some good finishes at Loretta's.
Great.
You might about the only title I've got to my name is a Branson one, and I mean it's an amateur national back when we were younger, but it really wasn't like a top one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a Loretta's or a Punk or anything, but I did get one amateur title in that name.
That's more than me, so. I went to Branson, had some decent finishes there, but never a title. I think Johnny might have won some classes there, maybe.
Actually, Johnny beat Ryan Dungy 1 year, and I was like on 65s and 85s that year, and he went there with us.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, Johnny he beat Dungy that year.
That's awesome.
No, I would brag about that every day of my life.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I mean, you've beat he's not a national champion winner. He's a national
winner. He just won a national.
Yeah, but he's not like a champion.
He's not
right.
He's not on the Mount Rushmore of moto.
Yeah, like Dunch is. But I mean, he's potential.
Yeah.
For sure.
RJ's good.
Dude,
I like RJ.
We were kind of just looking at results because I wanted to see like how far back your Redlands vault was, because like you're a little bit older than me, so like we're in two different eras I would consider, and so I was looking at it, I'm like, dude, he beat some guys like in the 450B days. I was like, you can like go through them and you see like some guys. I'm like, wow, like still racing, factory ride guys. And so we'll start from the beginning though with 2003. You were in 50 7 to 8. So like, is this how much in front, or like how earlier were you riding before you went to that class in 2003, 7 to 8?
So if we really want to start at the very beginning, I guess I really got started whenever I was 3 years old. I started riding then, and Dad he built me a little track in the side of our little side yard, and he had me riding, you know, at a young age, and he waited until I was about 4 or 5 years old before he took me to racing, and so I was started right off on PWs. And I just progressively, you know, got better and better as I got on the bigger bike, on the next size state, like the juniors. And I was racing Pellinis back then, which isn't even a bike anymore.
Yeah,
I remember Jon Murray on Pellinis.
Dude, those things were sick. And actually, so the kind of sidebar, my best man at my wedding and Jeremy Shaw worked on on my last Pellini 50 and gave it to me as a wedding present. So I have it sitting in my house at home right now.
That's pretty sick.
They found it in an old garage somewhere and fixed it up for me. But anyways, that year at Loretta's, it just did not work for me. I know you can see my results were just terrible.
Yeah, 41st.
Like, every moto we had a bike problem, and we could not figure it out. So it kept overheating. Like, I'd do the sight lap, and it would be overheating immediately, and it would, you know, then the bike would just seize up during the race, and we could not figure it out. We were taking it to the factory Pellini team and letting them work on it, and they couldn't figure it out either. And then once the race was over and all, and Dad got home, and he just completely tore the whole bike down. And turns out it was a plastic water pump gearing had stripped. So it ruined my first Loretta's.
Sounds like my first year at Loretta's. I was on a PW, but it didn't run, and I got like last because every moto it didn't run.
Yeah, it just dumb luck, stuff that never happens at home.
Yep.
Any local race, you know, the thing runs like a top. You go to the biggest race of the year, and there it goes.
Yeah.
So, like, from there, were you were like, okay, well, now I'm were you pushing to go every year? Because, like, looking at it, you were very consistent throughout, like, going every year. And so were you, or was your dad like, oh, you got the speed, you know, and kind of turned into a 50 dad?
Well, I mean, you can ask Jake a little bit about it, too. I mean, yeah, that was the dream, was to go pro, was to be one of the next top kids. And because I would always be battling with Zach Bell and guys like Jesse Nelson and, who else? Like, Tomac and them were a couple years older than me, but, like, my era, like Savachi, I was always battling with those kids. And so, yeah, the dream was to make it. And
yeah, so Jon Murray's...
didn't quite happen.
How old are you now? Are you 30 yet?
I'm 28.
Okay, so you're a little younger than I thought. But you kind of had, like, me and Johnny, like, kind of setting the groundwork, I would say, a little bit of, like, you know, where we're going, what we're doing, and, like, you know, so you kind of had that,
right.
You and your dad kind of had that to come up with, like, well, hey, Jake and Johnny have done this and that, like, what's, you know. But, like, I know, like,
Absolutely.
you know, Johnny he didn't make Lorettas on little bikes much and all. He wasn't, like, a, you know, standout little bike guy. But, you know, like, I went a lot on little bikes, and then it was, like, a really nobody between me until you came along, you know. And, so it's like it kind of skips a few years where you have another kid which it's been, wow, since Jon Murray, since we've had a Mississippi kid, like, consistently going to Loretta's, because there's nobody. I mean, I guess Kinsey, if you count her, you know, but I mean, I feel like it's a little different for the girls than it is for boys, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Jon Murray at, like, I mean, all the big races, they were there, which my dad and Jon Murray's dad knew each other, you know, so that kind of made it where, you know, you go to races, you know, I would have been, me and Johnny were, like, on big bikes, and you were still on a 65, I'm pretty sure, but I still knew who you were, you know, young kid coming up from our area, so.
Yeah, because you had two, you went back and for the 65s the next year, went then and probably it looks like you had kind of bad luck in one of them, the stock moto. But then that next year in 2006, you were in 65 711 mod and 85 711 stock, and top 10 in both of them, which is pretty impressive.
So that year that I didn't do good on 65s, that I had the fastest lap times in practice that year, and that year at the regionals. I beat Tyler Stewart, Justin Bogle. I beat all those guys that year at the regional, and then I got to the Redders, and in the first moto, I got a really bad start, and I was working my way up through the pack, and I had a kid I was like going around the outside of a kid, and he came out on me, and he hit my front tire, and it took out my front end, but it took it out in a weird way to where it shot the front end up, and my inside foot slipped off the peg, and then the peg came right down on my ankle, and it broke my ankle.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I was immediately out again.
Yeah, DNS. Yeah, and then that next year, look, you came back for revenge in that class because you got 8th overall in the 65 and then 5th overall in the 85, which you don't see kids these days doing that.
No, not really.
Going, at least even if they're in top 10 in the Reddit, they're not going back and forth between the 85 and the 65.
No. And I mean, you could probably, and Jake can attest to this too. My dad, he was pretty hardcore, and he always believed that he always told me that if a big bike could hit it, I could do it on 65s when it came to the jumps. So there would be stuff that Sheet the C class wasn't doing, and Dad would have me doing it, and that you don't see today as much either.
Yeah, Buddy was he was kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah, he was pretty hardcore.
You're talking about the jumping stuff. Like, I was a jumper as a kid too, so I remember jumping some stuff that big bike guys wouldn't jump, and then having buddies. I know Jon Murray, you probably remember Josh Erie for sure. And dude, he would not jump some stuff, and his dad would get so mad because I would jump it and then Josh wouldn't, and he would get so mad about it. But he got over that as we got older. You know, you get to where you get some confidence jumping, and but it would be things we'd show up somewhere and he'd jump stuff way bigger, and he just wouldn't jump it. I remember did you ever go to Magnolia in Arkansas? They had like some areas and stuff there. They might have had a regional. Now, I know they had areas, but they had a big double in a sand section, and I remember Josh always was scared of it.
I don't think I ever went there. Whenever I was young, the best competition Dad found for me was in South Louisiana and South Mississippi. There was a few kids down there that were my age that created a good competition for me. Yeah, well, and Dad would always chase the competition.
Yeah, when you were your age, moto was pretty good in our I would say south of our area, but South Mississippi, Louisiana, because we had
SRMA series and stuff like that.
We had then you had Kentwood going really strong. You had Golden Pine starting up and starting to get really strong. So, like, I was on big bikes by all this time, which, I mean, Kentwood had some strong stuff, like my last few years of 85s. But even when I got into big bikes, like, it was still really strong there. And are you the same age as Cartwright? Or close to the same age?
I think he is a year younger than me, but we were always in the same class.
Okay,
except for that 1 or 2, that 1 year where I would age up and he would still be below, and then he'd be,
I remember that they would come down from Memphis to Wildwood a lot, and it's crazy that you had like a big crew of Memphis guys that would go to Wildwood a lot, and like the guys up here now, they're not traveling down there. It's kind of crazy that like it was good enough to pull that. And I think Hidden Valley, when it was open up here, it was good enough to pull a bunch of the South guys, but like the tracks aren't really quite.
A big track.
Yeah, it's gone, like completely gone now. A farmer bought it and it's like leveled and yep. But
that sucks.
Yeah, so it was like the tracks were maybe better, that a better quality track, I guess I'd say, that where it pulled people from 4 or 5 hours away. Where they're definitely not doing that now.
Oh, they're not. South Louisiana crew. I mean, just nobody anymore is hardly willing to travel unless it's the serious guys.
Yeah. Well, that's
everybody now stays close to home, but yeah.
Yeah, South Louisiana's got stuff close to home. We don't.
No, the closest thing to me is Golden Pines and Kentwood, and those are 3 hours.
Yeah.
Damn. It's kind of like us.
That's like, well, we're not quite as bad, but close.
Yeah.
Which those tracks
I got nothing.
Those tracks are a good 4 hours for us.
Well, yeah, both of them.
Yeah, but so you grew up like when I feel like moto, like it was really
in the Carmichael, Stu, and Reed era.
Yeah, I mean it was
booming.
It was good when I grew up, but it's like it was pretty good through the 90s, but like late 90s, early 2000s, it was really climbing, and like the mid 2000s, it was just unreal good with how many tracks, how many people were racing, the quality of riders it was producing. But then, man, like by the time you got on big bikes, it had probably fell on its face.
Oh, that was about 2008 when the recession hit. It took it. I mean, like I said, it fell flat on its face, and there was nothing we could do about it. I grew up looking up to McGrath, so that was the pinnacle for me.
Yeah,
that's where I was wanting to be.
Yeah, because in 7/11, 2006, I mean, we can just name the guys. Webb won, AC second, Nichols fourth, Owens fifth, Chris Aldridge sixth, Justin Hill seventh, Jon Murray Barr eighth. I mean, just top 8, just legends of the sport. And so, you're right in the mix.
Yeah.
That's crazy to
say. I don't watch the pro stuff with a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth is,
Yeah.
I grew up racing those guys and being right there with them, and
yeah.
Yeah, I know how it is. Same deal.
I mean, what good rider that grew up like that, or like you and I, that doesn't have that kind of taste in their mouth.
Yeah, I kind of look at I had a lot of peaks and valleys of years where I was better than other years, but not having a lot of time as a pro to learn how it is to be a pro. That's one thing that I look back at. I'm like, man, I wish I could have put like 5 or 6 years of living in Florida or California or somewhere with other guys that are doing the same thing, which I feel like it was a little harder for sure in my era of, like when I turned pro, of knowing it was a little more secluded. Like you didn't have training facilities as much. So you couldn't just up and move to some place and meet a bunch of other privateers or maybe some factory guys and get buddies with them. And then, then you're kind of in the clique doing the same training, same riding and all they're doing. It was more of like, you're just going to make buddies with other privateers who have no clue what they're doing, and, you're just winging it. So that was kind of my thing, and it's different now.
Right. I would say my era was the beginning of the training facility.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember going in 2000, I forgot what year it is. It was in the 85 7-11 class. I got 5th overall that year.
That was 06, wasn't it?
And that year, Dad sent me to MTF 2 weeks prior to Loretta's, and that was about the time it was really the facility now was kicking off. It was still pretty young, and that's when I was training there with Joey Savacci and stuff. So that was a pretty good year for me, and that's the only time I really got to do any type of training before Loretta's or before anything.
Yeah, because I went to MTF in 07. But
yeah, and I don't know what year that was. With the computer sitting right there, you can tell me.
That was 06, wasn't it?
Yeah, when he got 5th. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went like 6 months after you went, because I went the first of 07, and that was a good year for me. And that was my last year in the B class. Yeah, and there wasn't like a bunch of facilities. Just like MTF was like, if you were going to go, like that was the one to go to and spend the money.
It was.
And which I had, trained with Shannon Ide and done other kind of training and stuff, but it was a little different going to like this big facility with the, the massive
like
track.
With Shannon Ide is stuff like you and I go do on the weekends.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Working with kids.
Yeah.
It's not like that where you are living there, you are doing it.
Yeah.
While we're on like that topic, what do you think about the like real deal potentially like going away for good and losing like a training facility in your, we'll say like backyard, basically, like within however far away from you, pretty
It's
close.
probably
to
3
you.
hours from there.
Yeah, but I mean, still having something right there. Like, did you ever go there a lot when you were doing the Rudders thing in 21 when you went for 25 plus?
So just like my whole entire upbringing, I would go and ride like maybe a weekend or something, but I never went and lived at a facility longer than maybe a week or so, because the rest of the time I was working to be able to afford to just even go.
Yeah.
Like Dad started his own yard service in 2000, and just to be able to make money and to be able to have his own, make his own schedule to take me racing. And we just couldn't afford to pay anybody else. So Dad literally had me cutting grass with him when I was 6 years old after school every day. We would I would bust my butt working Monday through Thursday to try and get done so we could leave Friday after school. And it's been like that my entire life. I've never gone to a training facility and spent longer than a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Even if that. So that year in 21, I was straight off the couch or straight out of the machine. I was running an excavator all summer, putting 12 hours in a day in an excavator. And then before I go to work every morning, I'd run and work out before the sun come up. It's not like I was getting any kind of seat time.
Yeah, that's how I bet it felt so sweet to like see you beating these guys who probably a lot of 25 guys are probably still full time. You think
there's a lot of 25 guys that they're not going to say they're full time.
Yeah,
but it's just like with Haas. It's like Brandon Haas saying that he hardly rode any when club is his back. He's there every day. I'm like, dude, come on, like, because you're not really having to work. Like, as much as you say that that's work, that's not work where you're punching the time clock and you're somewhere for 8 to 9 hours of the day and you can't take your attention off of that. You have to be at that job. You can't go do something else. Like he can be like, all right guys, I'm gonna I'm gonna bust my moto with you guys, and so that's those guys are a lot of those guys that are in the industry and have these what I call gravy industry jobs. Yes, they're having to work some, but they're not putting 40, 45 hours a week in. They're probably putting 25 to 30 hours at their job in, and they get that extra 10 to ride, train, do whatever.
Yeah.
So there's probably a bunch of that.
I bet it was nice.
It was, but even still, we were going there to win.
Yeah.
Even with the situation I had, the goal was to win, and it just how can you compete with that?
Yeah.
It's dang near impossible, but
it's not.
Looking back at it now, that makes me always, it still makes me wonder to this day, if I could have put in the work for it and made motocross my job, where could I be right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same thing a lot too. But it's, I don't know. I feel like a lot of luck has to go your way.
Absolutely.
And, a lot of people, unless they're in the situation sometimes, I don't know that they really kind of understand the luck. I mean, you can get, you get hurt at the wrong time, sets you back, it sets you back a year. And that setting you back a year could be, where you miss out on an opportunity that somebody else gets because, you were hurt or whatnot. But, like, the guys that beat you, that Heath won, which obviously, I know Heath pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
And
Heath is a great guy.
yeah, so I don't know, like, for sure how much. I know Heath has to work a lot at his, Phoenix Honda, but also his boss supports his racing a lot. So if he's like, hey, I need to go, do a 40, like, okay, he can go out, behind the shop to their track and he, does his riding, does his training, whatever. He can leave to go and do a race. It's no problem,
Right.
Then Robbie Marshall, I know, is like still heavy into like promoting stuff and all. And I know he does some kind of equipment work, but I think I don't know like how full time that is, and if that's exactly where he was at that time. Jake Bomert, I don't know what he does as a job. We sold him a bike that year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I don't think he was like full time, but I think he gets to ride a decent amount.
I think he works with his dad.
He gets to ride enough to make a real difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike Brown obviously still full time.
Well, that's Mike Brown. That's a different type. That's not even human.
Yeah. I don't know about Jamal Porter. Not at all. Taryn Odell. I think Taryn just was like off the couch, but a ton of talent. Because Taryn should have.
That dude is nothing but raw talent.
Yeah, Taryn should have been something back in the day. I don't know what happened with that, but.
Absolutely.
And then Sean Leponovich is a test rider, so he rides every day.
Yeah.
Judd Wisdom still is like full time, like he's down in Florida training. Riley Bro and his brothers, I don't know what they do, but they ride a lot.
Yeah.
So they're doing nationals, so obviously they're riding a bunch. Brock Peterson, I think maybe he's kind of living real life. He's got some kids and stuff, so maybe we could relate to him a little more. Jesse, I don't know if you say that Bork or Burke. I don't know him, so no idea. Maybe he could be. And then there's you. And then Kyle Gills was 15th. And Kyle, he has a job to where he has to work a lot because he's very important at WPS.
Yep.
But they have a track right there. I think he can, I think it's probably pretty accessible to go and, bust some motos. And he's got, some guys around his area that ride a lot. So maybe makes it. Plus, he doesn't have kids.
Like that year, like 21 that year, him and I, was it 21 or, 21, I don't know. One of those years, him and I battled tooth and nail in the last moto.
Yeah, it was probably that year, 21. 21, you got 11th. He got 15th overall. It didn't have the moto scores.
Okay.
No, he got 12th in 21.
Oh, they don't even show the moto scores on there?
They do. I think his phone wasn't loading it or something.
Oh, no. Okay. In 20, you got 11th. And, Kyle got 9th. Y'all went.
I want to say it was that year in the last moto. Him and I went like 8-9 or 9-10 or something.
Yeah. Last moto, he went 6, you went 9. Second moto, he went 8, you went 11. First moto, he went 20th, you went 21st.
Okay. All right. I remember what happened that year. And 20, I had COVID that whole week until the last moto. I finally was able to really do something. And that moto, I finally performed in up until, the end, and I faded off, and I just couldn't hold it anymore. But for first half of the moto, Kyle and I were battling hard, and then I faded.
Yeah.
But
I've been intense to ride with COVID. God, I remember.
But yeah.
That was
I rode with COVID that year, and that's probably pretty dumb, but, screw it.
Now you're there. It's been a lot of money. So.
Yeah, I'd already done invested the money, and I just didn't tell nobody, and now everybody's
You may not know this, but here, unlock your phone.
Oh my goodness.
So do you know that? You've been to Loretta's. Like, count the years: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Either we're tied or I've got you by 1. But, we're the most ever from Mississippi to like,
Yeah.
go to the ranch. Like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, but it's kind of cool that.
It is. No, it is cool. Jeremy was telling me that the other day. In fact, yesterday we kind of we were talking about it. I was picking his brain because this is the first podcast I've ever done. So I was just picking his brain about it, and he mentioned that as well. And yeah, that is cool that you and I both are right there for most Mississippi.
Yeah, I've been 11 times. You've been 10. So
It means y'all both
I'm gonna
old.
step it up.
I need to step it up too.
I mean,
Dude, I wanted to go. So, you talked about when you went back in 25 and you wanted to win because, as a kid, you grew up with that dream, that goal of like, I want to win Loretta's. Like, it's a big deal. And you can go back as a vet guy and you have that same deal. So when I turned 25, I went to my regional and I crashed the first moto and kind of blew it. But I probably could have sent my money in and still got in, but I didn't. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Which I had young kids, so it was going to be tough anyway. But when I turned 30, I'm like, all right, I'm going. And this is, like, I can win this class, And I went in off the way off the couch.
yeah. What happened?
And
what happened there?
I had the speed, dude. I definitely had top 3 or 4 lap times every moto, but I just was not in the shape to. I mean, I ran second behind Matuzak, the second moto, for the whole moto until like a lap and a half, and I went from second to 7th in a lap and a half because I was dead. I was either going to crash or I was just going to let guys pass me.
I wish you would have crashed. Honestly, that would have sounded better if you would have crashed.
Then I just got a 42nd.
No, if you would have crashed and picked your bike up and gotten 7th, then he'd be like,
I wouldn't have got 7th.
Dude, I crashed and I got 7th. But then you're just like, oh, yeah, I was in second until like 2 laps ago, and then I just faded hard.
I was so tired that I would have been –
You would just let the bike
I would have
sit there.
fell over and probably not been able to get back up. And then I would have got 42nd.
Nothing is ever good enough, is it?
No, but I had that same thing when I went. I'm like, because the guy that won the first moto, I mean, I beat at my area, so I'm like, he beat me at the regional. It was a default. It was muddy as crap, so I don't count that. But I beat him at the area, so I knew head to head, I've got this. Speed wise, I've got this guy beat. And he won the first moto, and I'm like, and I got 9th, which my clutch went out. I had moved up to 5th, then my slave cylinder seal swelled up, and I lost the feeling of the clutch. So I had to just, no clutch at Loretta's with deep ruts was pretty tough on a 450. So I'm just,
You're not doing it too good.
Yeah, I'm having to baby every corner, I'm having to just shift down all the way to first or second and baby through the corner so I don't stall it. And I dropped back to 9th from that. And so it was pretty much like title hopes were kind of, not necessarily done, but, like a long shot, And
right. So in 2019 was my first, that's when I turned 25. And I mean, I was on it that year. I went to the area, dominated, and then that year was the regional at Wyndham's. And I walked off and left everybody. Like, do you know who Franklin Neguris is?
Yeah, he's a fast guy.
Like, he's riding for Dominican Republic this weekend at Nations. And I put 5 to 10 seconds a moto on him. And that year I was committed that year. I went and I was staying at Kentwood when Real Deal was there. And I was about 2 weeks into training, and I was letting my emotions get the better of me one day in practice, and I was getting frustrated. It was just an off day, and us as motocrossers, we just don't accept off days. And I was getting frustrated and was starting to override, and sure enough, I had a really bad crash. The front end tucked on me going down a really fast straightaway, and it sent me flying probably a good 20 to 30 feet just before I ever hit the ground. So I was going a pretty good rate of speed by the time I did hit the ground, and it dislocated my shoulder pretty bad. Like, it was down in my mid ribs, the end of my arm. And so it ruined all hopes for that year. And because I was the only people, like Franklin went there that year and he got third. And so I was going in thinking, or whenever I went and watched the end of Loretta's in 2019. So my thoughts were, I should have been right there in the top three, because I think it was Mike Brown won, and then Darren Durham, and then Franklin. So, needless to say, I was a little sour about that as well. But
that's hard to see.
Crap happens,
Yeah. So when did you go through all? I mean, we pretty much went through all the results.
There was one. Why'd you put on your name? Get out of here.
Because I was trying to count how many times.
We skipped around.
There was one I wanted to look at the moto scores.
What year did you get your pro license?
I went to Loretta's in 2014, and I got my license that way.
Okay.
In the A class.
Yeah. So you did.
And that year, I had messed up. I had dislocated my shoulder prior, and I had a broken wrist and a broken ankle, and didn't know it, but still just raced and went and just did the motos, because that year, the way the rules were, all you had to do was just race all three pro sport motos to get your pro license.
So you did some nationals in
2015. Yeah, I went and did Red Bud, but are we skipping around or go with it?
We can just skip around.
Yeah, we're good.
Loose program.
So in 2015, I went and did Red Bud and didn't qualify. And then I can't remember if there was another one in between, but I went to Millville next, or I qualified at Millville by the skin of my teeth, and that's the one and only actual pro moto I qualified for, pro race I qualified for.
Okay. I made Millville before too. Was that 250 or 450?
450. I couldn't afford actually building a 250 to be compatible, so
yeah,
be able to compete. So I just went 450.
Yeah, I never did. Well, I tried a couple 450 nationals. I didn't make any though, but the ones I made were 250. But I had I mean, it wasn't a fast bike by any means, but
so
actually the ones I made in 09 were on a stalker. So
yeah.
Of course. So are those the only two you've tried for, or that was only in 2015?
I tried. I think I tried again in 16. I'm pretty sure I did.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get anywhere. Tried again in 17. Didn't get anywhere. And then I tried Millville again in 18. And didn't have any luck either. Like in 2017, me and my buddy JD that lives up here where I live, that races crotch rockets. He went and won Pikes Peak that year in 2015. But anyways, he went with me to be my mechanic in 2018. We went to Red Bud. We went to Millville, and then I think we went to Southwick in 17. Yeah, in 16 I tried a few more. It's all now coming back to me.
Yeah.
But my buddy Kyle Forrester, that's from South Louisiana, he went with me, was a mechanic, and we took Dayton Shira's minivan, his Ford Sprinter thing, Transit, whatever. And we went and did Millville and Red Bud. And I think we did one more. Oh yeah, we did Tennessee that year. But no luck.
Did you?
As far as qualifying.
So how many different national tracks have you been to? Like, did you ever do the whole 12 or like 10, the non-California rounds or something?
No, I've only just picked and choose because I was paying all out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did Red Bud and Millville the most, and went to Tennessee once and went to Southwick once, and I think that's it.
Okay.
No indoor either. You weren't much of an indoor guy, from what I can remember.
No, I never did like arena cross that much. Growing up, Dad would always just, he had the mindset of that we needed to do it. And granted, for the dream that we had, yes, I did need to do it, but I just never did like it. And there's no supercross tracks for us to practice on here in Mississippi. So there's not like I'm about to just go send it and try to kill myself in a supercross track.
Yeah. So you didn't have like anybody at your level local to kind of like do anything with. So I was lucky.
No.
Because I had...
No, you had Johnny. And,
I had before that I had Kyle and Dustin Gills, and they had already been doing it. So, like, that's who I started traveling with when I, decided to, hey, I'm going to go chase some nationals, and, and then that worked into, they had already been riding Supercross, so it's like, hey, I've got guys to teach me this stuff. And we were lucky that Hattiesburg Cycles was supporting Nathan Whitlow, and they had some land down in Purvis that they had a little house on. So Nathan and his brother and mechanic lived in the house, and they had built a Supercross track behind it. So I would get to go down there and ride. Johnny came some. So like when I went into Supercross, like we had been riding a Supercross track. So it's, I kind of, which I'd ridden Supercross at MTF. I'd ridden some in Texas with Teddy Park. So it was like not super green, but, maybe not as prepared as some kids. So that's kind of where I got to have some experience. And then, same thing with Johnny. I'm sure, like, us having friends that, had stuff, which we had a Supercross track actually in Pearl. So later.
I knew y'all had one around there. But that was about the time I was on Super Minis.
Yeah, it was later
on big bikes.
Yeah, it was my second year doing Supercross. We got lucky. Just the guy already had a track on the land, and I told him I had somebody that could build it. I just needed the area to do it, and he's like, "Yeah, here it is." So it kind of made it easy.
Right.
And
by the time I got to that level, y'all were
we were done
phasing out.
Johnny quite wasn't, but me, Kyle, Dustin, like we were all because 2011 was my last year to do anything Supercross and nationals. And then I had the wild idea in 19 to get my license again, and I went to Ironman. So I wasn't way off. 50th in times is honestly not terrible to not be in shape and not have really ridden that level. It's kind of different, but I feel like you get there's experience that you kind of learn as you get older that these kids don't have, and you kind of can beat out some of them on that.
Like us. I mean, like right now, there's so much stuff that I wish I knew.
Oh, yeah, me too.
At the most crucial areas in my career at that point that, oh my gosh, I would do so much different. But I was just a dumb kid from Mississippi that all I did was work. I didn't know no better to do that. I needed to go do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And really, it wasn't like anybody was knocking at my door saying, hey, I'll sponsor you. I'll help you get there. Granted, I wasn't very good, and my dad wasn't very good at selling me. We were not salesmen at all. We were just workers. And Dad always told me that if you go and perform, they'll come to you. So he wasn't ever going and just kissing butt.
Yeah, we weren't.
We probably should have been.
Yeah, we weren't like that either. And my dad with having his own business and stuff, that helped pay for a lot of stuff to be able to go. But like I had most of my traveling was with the Gills brothers, so we split everything, and that helped with having people to split cost with. They had family that lived in Ohio, so we would stay in Ohio a lot. So we're staying at a house that we didn't have to pay for. We're just rent free, and I had with a lot of just a lot of help. But we were the same way, man. Like Kyle and Dustin didn't come from money or anything, and we just were three kids that liked riding our dirt bikes and hoped we were going to make it. And honestly, Kyle, man, like the mental part of it, he knew how to step it up on like national weekend. He was really good at qualifying and stuff, and like he probably had the most potential, especially in Supercross. Him or Johnny probably had the most potential to really kind of do something. But you have to make a huge sacrifice to make that level, and
absolutely. I mean, it has to be it has to become your world.
Yeah.
You can't have any kind of doubt. You have to be 100, if not more % committed. And it's hard it was really hard for me just because I didn't mature until I was dang near 20.
Me too.
Yeah. Granted, you got, I guess you could say you got perfect a little sooner than the rest of us, Jake. But,
Well, maybe.
but,
You know what?
but like growing up, like guys like Shane McElrath, he was pretty good growing up. He was like a mid top 15, top 10 guy growing up in the amateurs all the way on little bikes. And then he matured really fast when we got into the B class. And that was the year he went to club. He was riding, I forgot what Honda team it was. I don't want to say, I don't know why, but I want to say 1110 mods, but I don't think that was it. I think it was something else. But either way, his body matured really good, and he got to put in the work, and he was strong enough to handle the bike. Where whenever in 2000, what year was it when Yamaha first came out with the backwards motor? Was it 2010?
9 or 10. 9 maybe.
On a 450 or 250?
450.
450.
Yeah, it was like 10 or 11.
I want to say it was 10 because so that year, my dad was a Yamaha, you know, that was religion to him, and he bought me the 450 because we couldn't afford to mod out the 250, and his thoughts were, you know, I can ride the 450 and be competitive without having to spend a whole bunch of extra money and wear and tear, and you know how 250s are when you start modding them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that thing, I was 100 pounds riding that big old pig.
Yeah. So you were like me. Like I was.
Yeah.
Same deal. Like when I first got on big bikes, I had just got off 85s. I rode an 85 till I was 16 because I was small enough.
Yeah, I did too.
And the rules back then were you could ride that. So I rode it because hey, it was a little bit of an advantage to be older. And but I was still so small. So when I got on big bikes, dude, I was tiny on big bikes. And somehow made Loretta's the first year in B, and then I started growing a little bit, but not. I mean, I'm still not big at all now, but
yeah. Are you gonna finish growing?
I don't know.
Soon?
Probably not.
Okay.
I think I've reached the point of.
Okay, I was just making sure. I didn't know. I didn't want to be like
almost.
If I was you, I wouldn't know what size pants to wear because I don't know your length. You know?
Almost 35. I think you're done growing. So
yeah,
but,
I didn't know. I didn't know if you ever got out of the kid section.
Barely.
Yeah.
But no. So like even my last years of amateurs is really when I started kind of actually growing and able to put some weight on to be able to build some muscle. And, like it's, you're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit, you've got the talent, you've got that, but you got to be able to put, the strength part of it's not quite where it needs to be. And you don't understand how important that is until you get to the level where now it's like real men you're racing, and these guys are training full time every day, and it makes a huge difference.
It's a huge difference, and it absolutely showed. I got pretty lucky that one year in the B class because I was still a shrimp in on Cowies, and I don't know, I performed that year pretty well, but up until then, I was the shrimp of the class. And I mean, that even goes for that year I got 5th on 85s. Like, I got a picture in my dad's shop where what saved me that year, I think I got 8th every moto.
Yeah.
Can we talk
about the moto scores on those real quick? I was looking at them.
7, 8, 9 or something, wasn't it?
So 4th, Jesse Whitland got 4th that year with a 4.43.
It's consistent for 4th for sure.
You went 8.79
for 5th.
For 5th overall.
So what saved me that year was that was the year I went to Millsaps, and I was getting every hole shot. Like, do you remember Caleb Dow and how gnarly that dude was? Anyway, that picture I got in my dad's shop is me and Caleb Dow and Jesse Nelson getting the hole shot, and there's a kid in the background where a bike fell right in front of him, and he hit the seat head on with the front tire and went flipping forward, and the picture is timed out just right where the kid is literally doing a Superman in the air above everybody, and me, Caleb Dow, and Jesse Nelson got the hole shot. And those hole shots that year is what really saved me, because I was maybe 60 pounds on a KTM 85. And you remember back then, they didn't have a linkage or anything. And, God, Zach Bell was the test rider. And he was probably, back then,
he was little,
100
too.
Pounds more. He was little, but he had some weight to it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what saved my butt that year was starts, because I'd fade back from first, second, third to 7, 8, 9.
Kind of sounds like you.
But, no, that's 100% like me, for sure.
So, have you been riding recently, or what are you doing now?
Well, since I got married, life has kind of hit me hard, and I've been working really hard. I've just been working a lot, trying to save money. So, I worked with my dad from the time I was 6 years old up until last year, and we finally parted ways. And I went and worked for my father-in-law during the winter, and now I'm working for my uncles, my dad's brothers, doing the custom harvesting, running combines. And so I really haven't been riding much. Anytime I get a free chance, I go ride.
Do you see yourself kind of, you're not going to ever, because I feel like Jake says, like, oh, I'm going to get out of the sport. And, like, when y'all been in it so long that you're never going to be, like, completely out. But, like, do you kind of see yourself kind of out of the chasing Loretta's, and now you're just going to go and kind of be like a Jake? Like, just show up to, like, a random Pro-Am, get a couple $100, you know, beat some fast up-and-coming kids.
Right, show them young punks what wisdom can do.
Yeah, basically the Jake strategy.
That's, kind of. Of course, I would still like. I want to go do the Loretta's more. I would. The dream that I have for myself is to be able to still be good enough to where the young kids and like the local A, I'm still at the top of the class like Jake is, and for my kids to be like, oh man, Dad's awesome. I really want that. And of course I want to be able to possibly, if my kids are into it or not, that's up to them. I have so much knowledge based off of what happened in my life that I can give them and try and possibly steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, that's what I do with mine. They're getting more and more to where they really asked to go ride. It's hard to go ride with a bunch of kids and not having places super, super close.
Well, if you keep on, Jake, you're going that movie that was around when we were kids, Cheaper by the Dozen, you're going to have that running around.
Yeah, well, no, I'm done. I'm done now, so, But, I've got, I have the 3 boys that ride, so. And, they're into it, but none of them, they're all pretty timid, None of them are like this, I want to go fast. I'm going to pin it and go fast and try to jump whatever. Like, they're all very reserved. They do have pretty decent riding styles, though. They're not like squirrels. Like, they don't look like goons out there. So, they at least have that going for them, but they're not really fast. But, yeah, I try to just teach them, and, you talked about, like, the dad thing, the kids will think it's cool or whatever. I don't know how much mine think, like, that it's cool that Dad's fast. They know that Dad's fast, So they don't. They definitely don't argue me when I tell them something about on the bike, or what they should do. They don't. They don't argue that. But if you stay,
because you have so much knowledge, you can sit there and say, "Look, this is what I'm doing, and this is what the results are."
Yeah. Well, they see me on the track and what I've done, so they know, like, okay, I can't argue with him. Like, he actually, he actually can do. Right. But like, it kind of keeps you youthful. So like when we go to like my kids play baseball, and we go to the field and stuff, and I see some of the other dads that are, around my age or maybe a little older, by a couple years or so, and I'm like, yeah, see, that guy looks 35. I don't feel like I look 35, so like feel like I'm winning over here, and like,
just depends. It just depends if you took your hat off or not. But like, with your hat on, you're fine.
I got the same problem too, Jake. It's all going backwards.
Grayson gives me a hard time about my receding hairline, so. But
Dayton does too.
So anyway, like my oldest runs cross country, which, hey, this like. I want them to be athletes, and some people here kind of think my kids are better athletes than I was or am. So they're very athletic. But my oldest runs cross country for the school, and like, dude, he runs 2 miles 3 or 4 times a week now. And like, to me, like, that's great because he'll. Like, I dreaded running.
Have a good base.
Yeah, I dreaded that. Yeah. Like, he's not going to dread it, and he's going to like it and enjoy it, and he'll be able to do it no problem. And so, like, as he matures, when it really matters, you know, like, if he wants to chase, if he ever gets better on the dirt bike and wants to chase that or whatever, like, he'll be cool with training. Or if it's baseball or whatever it is, like, he'll be cool with training because he already enjoys running at a young age. But, like, we were at we went to his meet Monday. And his little buddies are playing this little game on their phone. And, like, they're like, he told them, he's like, my dad's got the game. Like, you know, and they're like, his little buddies are like, wait, you play that? And I'm like, look, I play every now and then because the kids play. And they, like, thought it was the coolest thing ever that I played this little video game on the phone.
Sick.
What, like Mad Skills or something?
No, it was some other little game that my kids play. And I have it because you can, like, link together, you know, and be in the same party and all play together.
Right.
So I'll do that and play with 3 of them, and, you know, when they're on their iPads
So you
and stuff.
mentioned that about your son. Like, whenever I was growing up in middle school, that's what I would do as well. Like, I was the kid in 6th, 7th grade that was running varsity cross country and, like, at the track meets at, like, the 3,200 and 1,600 races. I was a little shrimp out there running with the high school kids.
Yeah.
So I definitely get it. And it most certainly helped me. And, like, my dad was hardcore enough at that stage that I would do practice after school for cross country and track. And then I would get home, or dad would either pick me up from school to go cut grass, or mom would take me to go meet him and go cut grass. And then he would stop 2 miles from home, and I would run home.
That's what you need to start doing with a batter.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've had you on here for about an hour or so.
Really? It doesn't feel like it. But
yeah,
it is.
Yeah, we're going I want to get you on another time to be able to kind of talk about, like, moto, like, the local scene and, like, you know, tracks and stuff, because Grayson doesn't know, but I remember, like, when Golden Pine was kind of in limbo and you would work it every now and then, and, like, our idea was, like, not lining up sometimes with some of the guys that own the tracks and stuff. And we just kind of talk about that a little bit. We could probably get into it big time on.
Oh yeah, we can go a whole another 2 hours on that. Stuff.
Yeah. So we kind of want to do, like, a, you know, this kind of interview with you, you know, on who you are, what you did, and all, and then we'll do one where it's like maybe get some other guys on with, like, track stuff, and, you know, because it's you know, it's terrible in our area now. We need some.
You tell me about it. Dude.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to need a whole another, possibly 2 podcasts to really talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine.
You got any more questions for him on?
No. Now I know.
Now you know who he is.
Yeah, I never really saw him. I didn't see him until, you know, I went to Wildwood, I guess last October. But, like, I've always knew and seen pictures and stuff like that, but never really, like, actually. You seemed younger than you were. Like, I thought when you raced at Wildwood and I saw you, I thought you were, like in the that was, like, your first time in the A class. And I thought you were, like, and so, like, I always thought, like, oh, dude, he's probably going to do, like, maybe nationals or something this year, you know. And then I didn't realize you've already done all that and you're just back hanging out, you know. So.
Yeah, no, I just still have like I always growing up, I run off of talent because it's not from hard work because I don't get to do it.
Yeah, same here. It's been like that for as long as I can remember.
Right. But no, I really appreciate you guys hitting me up. I've always wanted to do a podcast, and because I feel like people like Grayson, especially this next generation, they don't really know who I am or know me because I'm just in and out. I'm either there or I'm not there at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm so busy trying to make a living, and I live so far away. It's not like I can just go on any given Thursday or Sunday or whatever and go ride. I got to make time for it, plan it.
Yeah, for sure.
Plan it around work.
Yeah, the only thing that's kept me relevant, I think, is, like, working in a shop. because a lot of the dads and stuff that are newer, people are like, oh, you need to go to Graham KTM, buy from Jake, and like he rides, he races, he knows, and then kind of when they get to know me, they're then they kind of ask some questions, and then they're just kind of like, okay, this guy, like so it kind of it kind of helps with keeping it's kind of how I've kind of stayed relevant with knowing people kind of knowing who I am, but I still go places and there's guys that don't know. They're just like, and people tell them pretty quick though. I mean, same with like if you show up at Wildwood, and somebody's like, wait, who's that? Like, there's gonna be somebody there that's like, oh yeah, that's Jon Murray Barr. Like,
Right. Like in 2019 and at the regional, I raced 25 plus and open pro sport, and I was racing guys like, what's the gas cast kid right now? Carson Brown?
Pierce Brown.
Pierce Brown. That's right. Like him and I were battling tooth and nail, and we got off the track, and he's like, "Dude, who even are you?"
Yeah, that's like,
I'm just some old hillbilly from Mississippi that likes to ride dirt bikes, man.
Yeah, I've met some kids that, like meeting Spencer Winter. I met him doing arena crosses up here and stuff, and it was more his dad is kind of what got the relationship going. His dad would rag him if I would beat him. He's like, this guy's got kids and always beating you. But
and me and Spencer are still like that too. It's so much fun. He's a good kid.
Yeah, so me and Spencer, like, if people see, like, if he's at the same track, like he can explain to the younger guys, like, who I am and stuff like that. And it's funny though. It's kind of funny to be the older guy and go beat some kid, and people are like, "Wait, what just happened?"
It is so much fun. I absolutely enjoy it because I go back to the pits, and if I pass up their pits, the dads, getting on them and and
that old guy just beat you.
I'm like, that was me. I was that kid too at one time, and now I get to put it on you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Well, we'll let you get back to cutting corn or hay or
soybeans.
Soybeans. Okay.
He said that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I was,
God, pay attention.
Dude, I haven't ever stopped. I've been rolling too.
All right,
awesome.
Good catching up with you, and we'll have you on again for sure.
Absolutely, hit me up anytime. It was a great time.
All right,
see ya.
See you later.
Later.
All right, guys, that was Jon Murray Barr,
the country JMB,
one of Mississippi's finest. So
he's cool. I like him.
Yeah, Jon Murray's good. I mean, we've always had a really good relationship. Which he said he's 28.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm 6 years older. But I always remember him being the kid coming up, And I always talked to his dad a lot. My dad talked to his dad a lot. So,
he's 6 years older than me, and you're 6 years older than him.
But he was always the kid coming up under us that we all knew that we were cheering for, hoping he was in, So we've always had a good relationship. But
who's that kid? Are
you the next kid?
No.
You're a little older than being a kid.
Who's the next kid?
I don't know, dude. Pedigo, maybe?
Carson Wood?
No, I meant like Mississippi.
Oh, Carson Adams.
Carson Adams is Louisiana, but...
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
All
Someone
right.
who goes every year.
Well, we've been a little over an hour, so we're about to wrap it up. If you like us, like, subscribe, share, comment, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Answer of last week's.
Your sister won. She got one off.
Damn it.
Yep. So.
I don't even remember what it was. I'll have to look it up again. I was wrong the first time, and so then Jake gets it right the second time too, which pissed me off also. Because I looked at Supercross before, and now it was, let's see. Yeah, it won't load now. 2 something.
Okay.
No, not 2. It was 26.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
All right.
See,
there was something else. Oh, the comment on YouTube. We had somebody comment on YouTube, and they want to know. They want an episode of Grayson's story. Yes. So we got to have an episode of your career.
Yeah, not
your
much.
Story.
Not much.
There's a lot more than that. We're gonna get Eileen on for that episode.
Oh God.
We're gonna have Eileen on for that episode. She is gonna love it. Maybe we'll have Eileen on for half and Alexa on for the other half.
Alexa has more of a story than I do.
Because they were both faster than you.
Yeah, I'm the slowest crumb. I'm the slowest crumb.
All right. Everybody, please share Shot Moto Pod, and we are out.